as Soren said, my name is Yael. I'm originally from Jerusalem. I'm currently based in Amsterdam, and I moved there 2.5 years ago, where I participated in the upper curatorial program. And since then, I'm there for now. My curatorial projects are also both exhibition-based projects, and also alongside that, I'm very much involved in more community and neighborhood art activities and projects, which what mainly I will be talking now. I'm here in Madrid, as Soren mentioned, because I'm developing an exhibition for Matadero, 2 spaces behind us, that will take place in June under the umbrella of Foto España. And in Holland and Amsterdam specifically, I'm working also in institutional framework together with the SCORE, Foundation for Art and Public Domain, and also with the Van Abbe Museum in Eindhoven. Independently, in what I'm mainly going to talk about, will be the collective that I'm part of and called the Living Rooms. So this picture I took in Occupy Amsterdam in the first day of the demonstration. A guy was just carrying this sign, and I think that there is something in the context and especially in the saying that can summarize the spectrum that our collective is working within. For one hand, it's a call for global responsibility and the need to seek for a different way of living. And from the other hand, the suggestion is to do it from our personal surroundings, something which is familiar and cozy, like each of us living room. So now I'm doing this. This is a very old picture, not so old, but about 18 months ago, when we, 4 friends and neighbors, decided that we would like to share our different backgrounds and our shared passion and interests, ideas in a common physical space in Amsterdam. We will invite artists, performers, musicians, theoreticians to share their practice and ideas with us together in many forms and shapes. I'm saying different backgrounds because we are coming from various disciplines. We're musicians, some of us are musicians, some of us are performers, writers. Actually, I'm the one who's representing the visual art field. And so in the beginning of our path, we started with this idea, as I said, to look for a physical space in our neighborhood, which is kind of not the cool or the hip neighborhood in Amsterdam. It's in the west. It's called Bosselomer. And we wanted to have a space there also because there's a lot of young practitioners living there. Also that we felt that kind of this common space is lacking in that environment. And we wanted to call it the living room, also referring to this, to other spaces that we felt from our different field that we're kind of lacking this activity, lacking this livelihood, which are more like in a way passive and not really engaging with what space should or what we want it to be. And also, as I mentioned, this notion of that it's coming from our home, it's coming from what we are sharing, what we have in our own living room, it's actually what we want to see outside of it. So we started in a kind of a very intense quest of looking for spaces. I'm sure that in Madrid and in other cities in Europe and outside of it, there are so many empty spaces just waiting to be activated, but at the same time, the access to it is very, very limited. And after the 8 intensive months, searching and working and also working in this specific path, we didn't find a space. And we thought, okay, maybe this is a moment actually to change direction. And although we didn't find the space in mind, we did find a different kind of space. Through this process that we had, we realized that for us it's not only about the end product that we were interested in. We started to put much more emphasis in this collaborative practice itself. In other words, it's not only what is it that we want to do, it's how we want to do it. We started to look closer on how we work together, how can we come with other people, other than artists and visitors, how can we come in different way? How people can develop ideas, share their passions and vision together. So we became the Living Rooms, adding the S to our name, marking the fact that there is not one but many at the same time. What we are actually, we are a parasitic collective. We are hosting and being hosted by different initiatives and institutions in our home and in our neighborhoods and in the city of Amsterdam and beyond the city of Amsterdam. And every time we're collaborating with an artist, with artists, performers, etc., or being invited by an institution, for us, another living room is being created in that specific time and place. That was also a point where they decided to add a fifth member to our group, and yet another dear friend, who is also an actor and a singer. But he is also a group facilitator, and he's specializing in a specific method of a decision-making process. The method called deep democracy, and it was developed in South Africa, and it's developed during the transition from apartheid to democracy. And in this decision, in this process, the idea is not based on consensus. It's not to look by the consensus. Rather, is actually to encourage conflict and how from conflict we can step through development and through growth. And this method, we kind of took it as our primary practice to where we work. So everything that we are doing, if it's just the concept of it or the production of it, we're going through that method. The fact that we put an emphasis of how we do it on this collaboration, actually this is a moment that for us, the space that we wanted was created. So what we actually are doing. We create platforms that allow people to come together, and it's taking place through artistic and cultural events. It's varied in context, in concept, and in form. And while collaboration is an important notion in our collective, in our events, also hospitality is very much a notion that we are taking with us. And every time we are collaborating with, again, also using this kind of multidisciplinary collective that we are, all the time there will be visual artists, there will be designers, there will be performers, there will be theoreticians, and together we create something. I'm going to quote also for our manifesto, which is in our blog. In a world that becomes more and more precarious, we seek to reinvent the living room as a shared space where different people can come together, be together, work together, and even live together. In a time when cultural production has become a necessary component of organizing social action, we bring our friendship and our unique decision-making process into the arts while developing new approaches to collaborative practice. And now I will tell you about a few projects that we did recently. So, in April 2011, we opened our imaginary doors with a project, Petite Grand Opening. It was a holiday event that took place in our neighborhood where we, as all you can see, yeah, it's very small, but you can see a bit. We did different kinds of events in different kinds of venues. It was also in our neighborhood squat, in the bagel shop, in the community art center, and every time there was a different kinds of activity. We had clothes walk, which was for women only. It was great, free clothes. And we had a history walk with a guy who is very, very much involved in Bosselommer, our neighborhood. Later we had a lecture with a professor from the University of Amsterdam, and we did it in the bagel shop in our neighborhood. We also did a guerrilla flower planting with our visitors and neighbors, and it's all ended in a performance event that also working with artists that are living in the neighborhood and musicians as well. So here are some images. This is the close-up. Actually, this is me. I still wear this coat. This is the ARI, the historical tour. This is the guerrilla planting. And actually, unfortunately, 3 days later already, the city council came and took the flowers, bastards. This is where we did our performance and food thing, and I'm going to pause it for a second and just say the lady who is pouring the beautiful homemade lemonade, it's Anat. She's one of our members. She's not only an amazing performer and a vocalist, she's also an amazing cook. We usually, most of our events, we do our own food and we bring our own catering, yet again using this notion of hospitality and how we share our passion in that sense, a passion for food with other people. The next event that we did, it's also I don't have a lot of images and I will briefly just go over it. It was an exhibition that took place in Janine Hofland Gallery, which was still in the west side of Amsterdam, not far from us, but that was already, we moved a bit outside of the neighborhood, and yet all the time coming back and outside. It was a duo exhibition by artists named Nevet Yitzchak and Brian Frajevic, and it was, the exhibition took this notion of collective creativity, something that we explored in that few months. During the exhibition, we had a public program, in different sessions and events. When one of the events was an open session using the Deep Democracy tool to talk about the neoliberal shift in Holland in relation to culture, to the cuts in culture funding. And it was very fascinating. It was 4 hours long. It was the first time that for us we actually took this method that we are using in our home and in our collaborative to other people, to the public. And it was also what was interesting because people came from different disciplines, not only from the art, but also neighbors and also people who heard about it. So it was quite intense and super, super interesting. Just a few more. And I'm going to finish with our last event, which is very recent, actually less than 2 weeks ago. It's called Revolutionary Playground. I'm just missing my thing, but I can just tell you about it. It's called, yeah, it's not that one. I have so much stuff. Revolutionary Playground. We got an invitation by the Apple Art Center to do something during museum night, which I think is like the Nuit Blanche of Madrid, something like that. And we got this invitation during the summer, where the demonstration in Madrid were in its peak, in other places in the world, and Israel just started. And we realized that we want to do something, an event that will relate to that specific context. It relates to this idea of a global civic awakening. So what we did, we occupied the Apple Art Center. We put tents all around the courtyards and in the garden. And we did different kinds of workshops and events in relation to activism and social change. And I will just go briefly on that. For instance, we had a 2-person tent with a Skype, where people invited to have a conversation with activists from different places in the world, like New York and Athens, and actually also Amsterdam, which is funny because they're very close, and Tel Aviv as well. We had a revolutionary library, again, bringing our own books from home in relation to precarious existence, revolution and activism, etc. People just been invited to come and have some fun with some books. And another tent, this was the reverse anger management. It was a very interesting workshop developed by Jonathan, one of our members, with a young graphic designer, where people were invited to have one-on-one sessions entering the tent, where Jonathan is actually talking with them using his amazing tools of facilitation to talk about their anger, their specific anger, if it's in relation to their immediate environment in the neighborhood, is it in relation to politics. And they were quite intense, very personal take-in. And after that, Yuri, the designer, they collaborated and did all kinds of signs and protests from that sessions. Outside in the garden, we had all kinds of performances where, again, we invited artists and asked them, how do you want to relate to this notion of civic awakening, and more specifically, to relate what is, of course, our position as artists and as practitioners within this system as it's going on now. We commissioned an infographic designer from Israel to kind of map. Her name is Ronnie Levitt, and this is the way she works. Like, she's mapping statistics and information, and this time we asked her to map and infographicize the different kinds of revolution and processes going on in the world. Madrid is very much starring in that map. So in a way, Revolutionary Playground was our contribution to the ongoing protests, while at the same time asking how artists, and art institutions can create a common and inspiring space to act locally in a global context. So this is in a nutshell about us. I will finish also by saying that you are more than welcome to visit our blog and like us on Facebook, and we will love you back. And I will finish by saying that for us, the living room is not only about artistic platform that we create. For us, it's also the way of being, thinking, and living differently. Thank you. I also have some flyers to hand out from our last event. We still are, as you can understand, very DIY and still working on our practice and communication and all of that. So you're more than welcome to take, and there is a bit on us in this as well. Thank you.